no more than $400 per month. Total loss. That's 1.44 million. Net before loan repayment is 1.44 million too. Now, this is the return from Ackies alone, not from hunting, not from tailoring, barbering, or brewing roots, herbalists. A loan of $50,000 to one a supplier. This is a small loan now. This is just as working capital. He could buy 125 boxes at $50,000. He could sell me the same 125,000 for $100,000. And this is 1 week's work. And one might ask, why am I going to so much trouble to seek out and analyze and find customers for the microfinance entities? I have a feeling that this might be one of the only ways forward for the country. On the one hand, you have the government, don't shoot, supporting inefficient and growing bureaucracies. They're taxing people and scaring them to death. And on the other hand, you have the banks, the formal banking system. It's not just about interest rates, it's about fees and bank charges. But much worse, access to capital, not for small people, but for, let us say, small, medium size, is nearly non-existent from the commercial banking sector. And guess what? They don't lend to poor people. The commercial banks don't lend to poor people, which is some of the people we're talking about. I think that more than 80% of this entire population in Jamaica I'm talking about is starved for loan funding. You know, it's underserved. They're completely starved. So that actually leaves the microfinancing community in a pretty strong position to help them grow the economy from the bottom up. Now, I've just told you about CANCO. There's an organization called JAPA, Jamaica Agro-Processors Association. It has 20 members, and I'm just one of them. They're all in rural communities. They all have similar stories. You could multiply CANCO's figures by 10 or more to see the opportunity that exists in just this industry. Some rough figures for JAPA. Estimates. JAPA employs about 3,500 people. They have about 5,000 suppliers. All of us employ about 80% women, and we collectively export about 35 million US per year. I want to discuss what could 500,000 US dollars do in this industry. 500,000 US dollars up to a few days ago was $55 million Jamaican. You could make 600 loans of about $91,000 each average. If you were to earmark 15 to 20% to young rural entrepreneurs, another 15% to people who existed in areas outside of the traditional areas. Let me explain what I mean by that. You traditionally get actives from certain areas and you don't get from other areas. A lot of times the reason why you don't get from other areas is not because there's no active. There's just not a tradition. If you went into those areas and loan money to small and potential and young people, they could develop a strong business in these communities. And that's on Aki alone. For example, very little collection of Aki is done in St. Mary and Portland. Just to mention two areas, you could go in there and revolutionize the situation for young entrepreneurs and other persons. The balance of 60% to 70% you could lend in the existing areas. This would result in jump-starting young rural entrepreneurs It will increase the raw material flow to processors, it would increase production, increase export. It would increase rural development, and it would certainly stimulate rural entrepreneurship generally, not just the young people. Microfinancing companies could recoup their money in under 2 years. And how to help the processors, we now act as bankers to both our staff and the suppliers. This would be a great relief to us. Now, if microfinance organizations could accomplish this in our small industry, imagine what you could do in 10 other industries. You will have no competition from the banking sector because this time of lending is not too lowbrow for them. They're not interested in the people in this sector of the company. It's too lowbrow, it's too ordinary. But trust me, it is vital to the development of this country. If you have a country that excludes 80% of the people from financing, you just literally can't survive. And the traditional banks have been doing what they do for the last 40 years with no result. Something else needs to be tried, and I'm thinking the microfinance organizations are the people to do it. In fact, after writing this, I said to myself, maybe microfinancing would be a better business than food processing. So I want to end on this note. Watch out, you might have company soon.
You know, one of the things I did a while ago, I can convert my iPod into a recording device. And halfway through, you know, you're in a situation and you know that's something very important. So I don't know if this has been recorded, but I want to make sure at least I captured a part of it. Sometimes those are some of the inconvenient truths, you know, that need to be said. Something as basic as that. I have been working on a document which I call, you know, 6 pathways to prosperity. Straight, you know, the best and the brightest, the young people leaving school with no jobs. But we have to find a way now to unleash them. Then there's the other group now, the desperate and dangerous. Those who have decided, listen, the school thing now work out. We're bright, we're going to go own little business now. 10 years ago, they told me they're going to start their scamming business. They told me that. All right? Now, we also have another one which I'm calling the tried and the proven. Those all the retired people with all that knowledge in their head, sitting home doing nothing. No? Then we have the fastest and the fittest. Our governments have not yet figured out that, listen, look at John, it's not look at Johnny go prep school and come back and win race. Johnny, you win race, man, come and buy your ice cream. We dominate the world of sprint, and we have not figured out a way to monetize it. We can rebrand Jamaica around health and fitness. We have the products, we have the resources, we have the know-how. We have been producing health statistics which way beyond our existence. Then there's the one I call the resurgence of ganjanomics. Now, I'll talk to him off the air to clear that. I heard the supply chain and all the facilities for processing and so on. So another one we can talk about, my brother.
Watch it now.
Right? But then now, he has just now put this whole other thing. What I call this one now, unlocking rural entrepreneurship. Many of you who are talking about so you understand money, how many of you have actually read the work of Adam Smith? Adam Smith talks about 4 forms of capital: human capital, social capital, natural capital, manufactured capital. Finance is a recent phenomenon. What we heard from the presenter a while ago was that all 4 forms of capital are alive and well in rural poor people. That's how Jamaica was built. Hand go, packy come. My mother, you don't have any banana. Yeah, mama, I'll bring you a dozen. Bring the bunch now. Mama, you can't eat a bunch of banana. No, just cut up and bring it for me. And she go around the complex and give her the whole of the banana and keep half dozen for herself. Guess what? For the rest of the month, she eat half of that. Anybody who got, give back. That's how rural Jamaica was built. Human capital, social capital, natural capital, manufactured capital. So what we're hearing now, financing allows the unlocking. You heard the range of human capital that already exists. But yes, our banking system have no respect for poor people. The purpose of savings account is to garner cheap funds to lend to them friends. Many of our banks can make money without lending another penny because what they can get from government paper and funding just government products alone, them nice. NCB makes $125 million a day, pause, of fees alone. So who's going to build Jamaica? Unlocking the potential of our poor people. Them not going nowhere. Them live here. And them love here. Thank you very much, sir. Food for thought. Food for thought. Well, what can we say? It was wonderful. I trust that you networked. I trust that you met friends. Some of the kind of indirect things that happened. In one of the sessions, I looked at somebody's computer and I saw an iconic symbol of light going through a prism. And I said to him, the dark side of the moon. Huh? And he said to me, Pink Floyd. And that started a whole discussion about Pink Floyd. Then I told him about my Jimi Hendrix festival that I have on my farm. We've won 3 years now. He said, what, Jimi Hendrix? I said, yes. And I told him a story about when Jimi Hendrix first played in England. And when he went on stage and jammed with Cream, with the god of the guitar, and blew Eric Clapton away. And Clapton was trying to light a cigarette and was shaking. And next day the paper headline said, Hendrix kills God. I guess he didn't believe me. He went and Googled it and found the story, which then he sent to his son, who is also a rock musician. Now, this is all indirect. I'm sure many of you have had links like that. Just a conversation with someone, and the piece is to be continued. So this is what this kind of just putting minds together, bodies together, thoughts together. All that exists in the universe is thought and energy. That's all that exists. We bring it together, you create a mixture, and things happen. Things that we could not have predicted, things that we could not control, but the kind of energy released in the universe. I told you at the beginning, right here, for the next couple of days, we will be at the center of the universe. Our responsibility here is to help to unleash that power. With all due respect to our other visitors here, for 20 odd years I've been saying Jamaica, the next world power. I'm sure you others from else, you get your share of it too, alright? The power to define, the power to create. How many countries colonize the world with just the music we play? Any place you go in the United States and so on, everybody from the Caribbean, where you from? I'm from Jamaica, man. Lie them a tell. But you want to get respect except from Jamaica. Right? So we are happy to have hosted you here. We understand the minister talked about the incredible form of touch that we have perfected. Invite you, lock you up in a wonderful hotel with a great beach. You can always see it but not go to it. The 15 of you this morning who came on the morning run walk, we allowed you to just run past the beach as part of it, right? So at least you said, you went past the beach. So we have a little break now between now and dinner. So maybe you can sneak out, and just actually put your foot in the water so you can say you were there. All right? So I want to make sure you fill out your evaluations. Template is there, the system is open, and then, in Jamaica, we have something called the Pretty Dan. If you're not sure what the Pretty Dan is, just ask a Jamaican what Pretty Dan. And then, it's at 7 o'clock, we will have the gala dinner, and the guest speaker, Dr. Warren Smith, President, Caribbean Development Bank. And I'm going to make sure he knows that the CDB was well represented here. And she actually got a chance when she ran around the hotel twice, she said, I could have run around Barbados